I also do a demonstration of Sabrage, and I had a guest who was not so impressed one week and asked me if I had ever opened a port bottle with a feather, and I obviously had not, so I studied it, and I realized that we had some very old vintage Portos on our inventory ever since I had started here, and that if they were ever sold, they should properly be opened by this technique. So I started badgering the comptroller at that time and the food and beverage director to acquire these tongs, and I studied every source material that I could and learned how to do them. And we've since sold out all those vintage Portos and have bought new old vintage Portos.
Who had bought the original ones?
The previous ownership, previous management. But I have found that most of the guests are intimidated by Porto. They're hesitant to order Porto for fear of not knowing how to do so properly or being asked questions to which they do not know the answer. What type of port would you enjoy, sir? By officious barmen and waiters. Or perhaps inadvertently ordering some wine that is much more expensive than they usually allot for their digestive or cordial. Excuse me, sir, what is this $500 glass of 1947 vintage Porto on my check? I want to demystify and uncloak the mystery of Porto. I'll start at the beginning. Porto is one of the older wines. The oldest port house is nearing 400 years in continual production. It actually can be traced back to the English. The English loved their clarets, the light red Bordeaux's coming from France. But as tensions increased between those countries, punitive tariffs were placed, eventually leading to war, at which point all trade ceased.